Now, I'd like to welcome up the presidential candidates. Three of them, very Pooley, Westerhouse, and Adam Brasher. Please welcome them to the stage. Thank you guys for joining us up here. We will begin first with opening remarks. Each candidate will have 1 minute, just like the two prior. Beginning first with Greg Pooley, when you're ready.
All right, great. Well, where are you all, everyone? Just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Drake Pooley. I'm a junior from Houston, Texas, majoring in finance, economics, and international business Chinese. First off, I'd just like to thank both of the candidates up here. This is a very long process. We started this process back in early November, and I know how truly exhausted I am with this whole campaign process. So I can only imagine that they're feeling the same way. Tomorrow you'll have the choice, a very big choice, probably the biggest choice of your college year, and that is who do you want to lead SGA for the year ahead. When you're looking at the candidates to hire for a job position, you want to look for two things: experience and a vision. I have the experience necessary to run every single part of SGA, and I also have a vision for every single part of SGA in parts that SGA hasn't even had the chance to reach yet. I intend to make the case to you tonight why you should vote Drake Pooley as your next SGA president. Thank you.
Thank you, Drake. We'll now go to Adam. You have 1 minute.
War Eagle guys, I love Auburn, and when I look at our Student Government Association, I see an outlet through which all the students of Auburn University can make their voices and their opinions heard. In past elections, I've seen candidates take office only for their big promises they've made during campaigning to never come to fruition. I'm an outsider as far as these elections are concerned. I'm not Greek, I'm not part of the establishment, and I'm from a college that hasn't been represented very well in SGA at all. I don't believe our SGA has done the job it needs in representing every member of the student body as well as it can. What our SGA needs is change. I'm not running because I'm supposed to, because I'm next in line to take power. I'm running because I love Auburn. And whether through diversity, conservation efforts, or listening to student opinion, I can bring the change we need. My name is Adam Brasher, and I am your next SGA president.
Thank you, Adam. We'll now go to Jesse. You have 1 minute when you're ready.
Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It really has been cool to speak for all three of us. I'm going to say how much encouraging, I'm going to say how humbling things that people support you throughout a process like this. I know a lot of y'all have heard about the platform this week. I'm going to continue to do so tonight. So I want to talk to you guys the reason why I want to do this. I've told hopefully most of you there's three things that have really motivated me to run for SGA president. First is my desire to serve each and every single one of you as my fellow Auburn students. It's something that I've had the opportunity to do during my time here at Auburn. I want to continue. I don't want it to stop. The second is my desire to give back to Auburn, a place that has truly given each and every one of us so much in so many different ways. And then the last one, above all else, is my desire to serve the Lord and glorify Him through everything that I do. So that's why I'm running. Looking forward.
Awesome. So we'll now move into the debate portion. In an effort to get all the questions completed out, we've allotted a minute and a half for each candidate to respond to the initial question, and the other two candidates will be given a minute for a rebuttal for a second response. We'll begin first with Drake. The first question is, what are some things that SGA did well this past year, and what are some things that SGA could do better?
Yeah, so I think definitely we thought big, serving in SGA, served in both cabinet and Senate. So we really reevaluated a lot of the things that we were doing to see if there were better process improvements that we could make. Unfortunately, I think what happens a lot is that just by the nature of only being on campus for 7 to 8 months during the year, a lot of time gets wasted. So definitely speeding up the efficiency of making those changes better for our students, and really keeping in mind that once we get back for the winter semester, we really only have like 3 weeks left. So it's really important to keep in mind the whole timetable so we can truly improve SGA.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. Adam, you'll have a minute to answer the same question.
Thank you, Walker. I believe the one really big area SGA can improve is accessibility. Number one, accessibility of the people in SGA. I know it's kind of hard for a lot of students to get in touch with SGA, find out where they are, how to meet them. If you guys like me as president, every Wednesday, middle of the day, on the concourse, I will pull office hours. So any student who wants to can come talk to me and tell me what they want to do, what they want to see done in SGA. Also, accessibility as far as getting into SGA. I find it discouraging when I go to the concourse and see people from all cultures and all walks of life, but then I walk into an SGA meeting and 90% of everyone there looks exactly the same. I want to make SGA more accessible to people of any culture, any race, any background to get involved, because SGA doesn't represent just a few people here at Auburn. SGA should represent every single student that calls Auburn University home.
Thank you, Adam. Jesse, you have a minute to answer the same question.
Yeah, I think the things we do well, the things we can do better. Look over this past year, we've accomplished a lot, whether it be assessing the bring together the mental health task force, which assesses mental health here on Auburn's campus and put forward a formal recommendation to university administrators about mental health and things we can do a lot better to increase that on campus. I think you see the Auburn Memorial Project gives students and all members of the Auburn family a place that they can go and reflect on those that they've lost. And I think you look at things like the in-class registration model with the Tiger schedule. There's some awesome things that SGA has done with local administration. I think we can do a lot better things in a lot better ways. A lot of students don't know about those projects because they don't hear about them. I think SGA needs to be with the students. We need to be accessible to the students, like Adam said. Students need to know what SGA is doing, and we need to be fully representative of the students. Just like Adam said, we're not always going to be fully represented, but we need to have the confidence walking into a meeting with a campus administrator and saying, hey, we're representing every
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate that. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. We'll now move to the next question. Adam, you'll have a minute and a half to answer this question. This question says, define diversity. What are your specific, tangible ideas to increase diversity and inclusion among Auburn students?
Absolutely. We have so many international students here on campus, so many minorities here on campus, so many people of all walks of life here on campus, but that is not how I would define diversity. We can have all those people here on campus, but if the average Auburn student never gets a chance, never takes the time to interact with any of them, learn from their experiences and share in those different cultural beliefs, that is not diversity. That's having a lot of different people, but that's not coming together and learning from each other. I believe diversity is our entire student body coming together, looking at each other's cultures, each other's beliefs, learning from them so we can make ourselves better as well. Diversity is having a bunch of people, it's just learning from each other's experiences. I want to make SGA more diverse, not just in serving the entire student body as a whole, but having more people from the student body as a whole in SGA, just to make it more diverse, have a whole bunch of more different outlooks on what we're going to do and different programs we want to put into place.
Thank you, Adam. Same question, Jesse. You'll have a minute.
I think diversity, most people hear that and immediately think of race, but I think it's everything from race to gender to culture to religion and really everything across the board right there. And I think some ways we can improve that. One, within SGA is making an effort to reach out to organizations that don't always know and don't always hear about SGA, about what we're doing, whether it's applications or elections or anything of that nature. And then two, with the university, a really cool idea that I've had is for students to lead the charge with diversity at Auburn. And so you can look back at Tiger Giving Day in December, 18 out of 24 projects were fully funded. And I think if students lead a similar project to get diversity scholarships for first-year students at Auburn, and that'll send a message to administrators. It'll send a message to people that look on the Auburn Bill, look on Auburn. It'll send a message from SGA that we care about this and this is something that matters.
Thank you, Jesse. Same question to Trey. You'll have a minute.
Yeah, so actually serving as the chairman of the diversity committee in Senate this past year, I've gotten a really good look and perspective on diversity, not just at Auburn, but in higher education as a whole. Diversity really spans the whole spectrum. Like Jesse was saying, it's not just race, but it's diversity of gender, of beliefs, pretty much everything. So we have to make sure that we're representing that through SGA. One of the problems we had this past year is we didn't have anyone in SGA to put on diversity programs. So I definitely create a new position for that. And then the experience of Auburn as a whole, Auburn University is not very diverse. We have 85% of our student body is white, 60% is from the state of Alabama, and 20% is from Georgia. So we have a lot of the same backgrounds coming in. So, simply creating diversity scholarships is not going to bring in a whole lot of people. We have to create an institutional change that sets bringing in these people with different cultures as the top priority in admissions, because we can never make SGA diverse.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Sorry. The next question will go to Jesse. You have a minute and a half. Mental health is an issue plaguing universities across the country. What resources would you work to provide for students on campus to help with mental health?
Absolutely. I talked a little bit before about the mental health task force that I had the honor of sitting on this year, and just really cool things with that. It opened my eyes in so many ways to the things that students struggle with, whether it's depression and anxiety, whether it's resources and accessibility. So as SGA president, I would lobby and I would work with administrators to bring more resources to Auburn's campus. There's no reason that you should have to go all the way to the med clinic to see a counselor because you're struggling with anxiety and depression. There's no reason you should have to wait 3 months to see one of those counselors because it's things that matter. It's students' lives that we're talking about. It's an epidemic that's really come across college campuses, especially here at Auburn. I also love to put resources to ending the stigma. I had a friend come up to me last semester actually, and he was talking about how he's dealing with anxiety, how he's dealing with depression. He can't talk to anybody about it because when he does, people look at him kind of funny and take their hands off. And the last thing someone needs when they're struggling with these hard things is for people to take their hands off. They need love and care, and students need to know about that, and students need to be educated on that.
Thank you, Jesse. Sheree, about a minute to answer the same question.
Yeah, so obviously mental health is a huge issue on Auburn's campus. We saw it obviously in the Winning is Homecoming platform, how so many students rallied around that idea. So, obviously we decided as an Auburn community that this is important, but we also have to decide whether we're going to get behind it with our wallets, because we talk about bringing in more counselors, but obviously that's a lot of money. So we have to decide as a student body whether we're going to get behind that. And so that's definitely something that needs to come as a referendum before the whole student body as to whether or not we are willing to put up additional funds to make sure that we have the resources to bring in those additional counselors to Auburn.
Health issue. There's nothing wrong with it. That's normal. Lots of people struggle with those issues, and it's something that can be overcome. But second of all, counselors and all the mental health task force stuff, that's not enough to end it. We need every student here at Auburn University to take a stand for mental health, to look at all of our friends, see ones that are struggling, see where we can jump into someone's life, step alongside people that are struggling, and help them through tough times. Because counselors can only go so far, but you guys can do so much more in helping overcome mental health issues here at Auburn.
Thanks, Adam. The next question will go to Drake. You'll have a minute and a half to respond, and that question is, how will you make SGA a more inclusive organization?
Yeah, so that actually starts in the next week. So on February 15th, which is the last Senate day of this term, we'll be presenting the first ever State of Diversity report in SGA. And it's so important to have a baseline to know where the current organization stands, so we know what we have to, or what we need to improve on. So it's definitely the first step in the process. The second step, I think a lot of times people go and try out for SGA, different things like cabinet or senate, they don't get it and they think, oh, it's because I'm not part of the system. And it's so important, we are all here at the end of the day to graduate and go get jobs. It's so important while we're here to learn how to even do a good interview and get that necessary feedback. So in full transparency, what my administration will do is make sure that any student that wants to get involved in SGA, even if they don't currently fit the qualifications of the position they're trying to get, we at least give them valuable feedback so that they can improve their own personal qualities and also know what they can work on in order to eventually find their place of involvement on campus.
Thanks, Drake. Adam, you'll have a minute to answer the same question.
Thank you, Walter. As far as inclusivity goes, I said in my platform that when I'm SGA president, I want to make a position in my cabinet called Director of Diversity for a couple reasons. First of all, as a watchdog for SGA, to tell us when we're not diverse enough, when we're making decisions that may not reflect the student body as a whole, and just to be a voice for underrepresented minorities in SGA. To say, here's how your decisions are affecting others, and here's how those decisions could be made better to better reflect our entire student body. And second of all, just to kind of come alongside other organizations, such as the Black Student Union, International Student Organization, Spectrum, different organizations that represent different minorities here on campus, just a way to come closer alongside them and help them reach their goals along with SGA's goals.
Thanks, Adam. Jesse, you have a minute to answer the same question.
Absolutely. Like I said before, I think one of the most important things for SGA is having full confidence going into meetings with administration or hosting events, whatever it is, we're fully representative of the student body. And I think right now we have two main problems. One is going to be marketing, getting the word out there about SGA, and the other is going to be the culture of SGA. So with marketing, I would love to visit organizations, I want to talk to organizations, I want to let organizations know how they can get involved in SGA, whether it's a hey volunteer or whether it's running for an executive officer position. And then with the culture, I want people to know, I think through strong leadership we can, that SGA is open to every student. And I think with that strong leadership, we can show that and we can tell students, hey, you're welcome here. This is for you. This is for every single student on Auburn's campus. And I also think one last thing we can do is build relationships. I don't think you can truly understand someone and truly communicate with someone until you've built a relationship with them and you understand them. And so by doing that with other organizations, we can show that we're here for everyone and we're open to it.
Thanks, Jesse. Dre, same question to you. You have a minute. Oh, you do. It is time for you to run through this. I apologize. No, next question is to Adam. You have a minute and 30 seconds to answer this question. What is the best method of late night transportation for Auburn students? And how do you plan to pursue that initiative?
Absolutely. So I know both my other candidates here, they really want to bring Uber back to Auburn. I think that's a good idea, but I think we also need to take a really close look at that. Because Uber, there's been a lot of things in the news about them. Mistreatment of drivers, low wages, just really not the best thing for the people that are driving for them and their employees. And I want all of us to think about the fact that the people that will be driving you around in Uber cars would be your Auburn family. So when you think about how Uber treats their drivers, do you want your Auburn family to be treated that way? I think Uber is a good idea. I love Uber. I've taken Uber before. But I think there are better ways for late night transportation. Uber's a good idea, but I think by expanding security shuttle, the Tiger 10, having those go more places, run more hours, that would alleviate a lot of the need that students have for late night transportation, and would be a good alternative to bringing Uber back to Auburn.
Thank you, Adam. Jesse, same question to you. You have a minute.
Yeah, I think late night transportation is extremely important to all university students. No student should ever feel unsafe or unsecure late at night, walking home, whatever it is. During my time serving at SGA, I served as the Director of Transportation and the Executive Vice President of Initiatives, and the wait times for a security shuttle on Auburn's campus have gone from 18 minutes when I first started to right around 5.5 minutes right now. So I've taken strides to improve this system, but I know that we're not completely there yet. I think we continue to work with the Department of Public Safety to ensure that all students have rides and have the opportunity to get home safely. Again, because those students should never feel unsafe. And I think we work to bring people to Auburn. I think we leave it up to the lawmakers and whoever that is to decide if Uber is ethical or unethical. But I think right now, we know that that's a safe ride, it's a cheap ride. Not only does it provide that safety, but it provides jobs for students.
Thank you, Jesse. Drake, same question to you. You have a minute.
Yeah, so going to the security shuttle, a lot of times what I've noticed in my experiences is that you call and you get into a security shuttle, but the system is not efficient. And you get in and there are other passengers going to totally different sides of campus. So what I would do in my administration is develop a platform where you can submit where you're going and the system automatically routes you in the most efficient way possible so that whenever you get in that shuttle, you're not going to some place that is totally different than where you're intending to go. I know I've gotten scared getting the security shuttles going to the wrong place. And the second thing, obviously, is bringing Uber back to Auburn. Uber is so important. Actually, there's a lot of the media that's actually out to get Uber, and Uber is, again, a personal decision. I'm never going to limit someone's personal decisions in becoming a driver. There are risks that you have to take in anything that you do in life, and you have to be comfortable with those risks. And I think if you look at all the things that Uber has to offer in terms of protection, it's a very safe bet and efficient and cost-effective for everyone.
Thank you, Jay. The next question will go to Jesse. You have a minute and a half to respond to this question. Some students at Auburn do not believe that SGA is a transparent organization. How do you individually plan to be transparent, and how will you ensure that the organization is transparent?
Absolutely. I think one, it comes down to integrity and trust and earning those things from students. Those aren't automatically given. So if you look at my platform, you see that I would want to release weekly and monthly reports on what SGA is doing. That can include anything from initiatives that we work on, the programs that we run, the interview process, and the number of people that have applied, and things of that nature. And I think we need to be out there because at the end of the day, we're funded by students. We're here for students. The mission statement is to serve and promote and unify and do all those things for students. And so ensuring that students know what we're doing and what's going on, I think accomplishes that.
Thank you, Jesse. Drake, same question for you. You have a minute.
Yeah, so actually, if you already look on the SGA website, there are a lot of weekly reports that come out of our social media teams. It just needs more publicizing to make sure that the student body knows about that. So in terms of the weekly reports, I think that's fine. I think throughout the year, even when there's not applications coming up, the SGA president should be visiting organizations all across campus for just to talk about what students want and what SGA is currently doing to solve those needs. It's not just something that you can talk about during campaign week and go to a couple organizations the weeks leading up to campaign week. You have to have that as a core mission throughout your entire year, and I intend to do that.
Thank you, Drake. Adam, same question to you. You have a minute.
Thank you, Walker. Well, I think the students who say SGA is not transparent enough are absolutely right. You can find out anything you want about SGA if you know where to look and willing to look really, really hard. SGA records are not made public enough, and it's not easy enough to find information about SGA and what SGA does for the student. Like I said earlier, if I'm elected president, I'm going to set up a table on the concourse at least once a week for a few hours so any student can come by, talk about SGA, ask questions, pitch ideas, just a way for them to get more involved, talk to me, and just find out more about how SGA works and just make it more transparent as a whole.
Thank you, Adam. The next question, each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to the question, starting with Drake. This question is, in your opinion, what is the most pressing issue facing Auburn students today?
Yeah, so if you think about, I talked about this earlier, what is the most pressing issue? It's the issue that's always going to be most important to students and why you go to university. So get an education, to graduate, and get a job. And so we are in a unique situation, a little hard situation, because we are 2 hours from the nearest large metropolitan area. So we really need to make sure that this is our biggest priority, is making sure our students are professionally ready. One of the things in my platform is to reduce the cost of internship credit hours to really encourage more internships because that is ultimately what the job market is looking for. And so, at the end of the day, student debt is obviously a very pressing issue, but not something that we as Auburn Student Government Association can necessarily solve overnight. But what we can do is make sure that you have a secure job and a secure salary after Auburn so that you will be set up for success in the future.
Thank you, Drake. Adam, same question to you. You have a minute.
Well, honestly, I think there's no real answer to the question, what is our most pressing issue? Because the most pressing issue is whatever issue is most pressing for each individual student. SGA should not be one size fits all. We shouldn't focus on some issues and then just forget others. We're here for each individual student and the issues and things that they are facing through their experience here at Auburn. I don't want to focus on one thing and then forget about other things that are going on as well. I want to listen to each individual student, see what they have to say, see what the pressing issues are to them, and then make those things happen for them in our Student Government Association.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. Jesse, same question to you. You have a minute.
Absolutely. I think the most pressing issue that we face right now on college campuses, especially here at Auburn, is students feeling open, students feeling welcome, students feeling that they can learn and grow with other students, and there's barriers to that, whether it's the inclusion that we've talked about, whether it's the mental health stigmas. And I think as SGA president, you can lead in a way and you can influence others that says, hey, we're all in this together, we're all equal, we all have mistakes, and we all have our differences, and let's learn and let's grow in those mistakes so we can be that Auburn family that we truly talk about all the time.
Thank you, Jesse. So next couple of questions, we'll go back to the prior format. The initial responder will have 1.5 minutes, and the other two questions to Drake. Drake, in your platform, you discuss making internship credit hours more affordable. How would you accomplish this?
Yeah, so actually if you look at the data in terms of what students are signing up for during their summer credit hours. The College of Liberal Arts declined 40% in terms of their college credit hour signups this previous summer. So this is obviously an issue that they're seeing, and really, going back to the core university mission statement, emphasizing to these professors and college administrators how important internships are, not just for college of business students, but really for students of all the different colleges. Because, if you look at any company, what they say, they want previous experience, which is very hard when you're in school. So we just need to work with university administrators and emphasize how important it is, and the fact that it's going to eventually look so much better on Auburn. Now, all these students are coming out with internships. So it's an investment that we have to make now for the future.
Thank you, Drake. Adam, you have a minute if you'd like to respond to the same question.
Well, I think experiential learning is very important to each Auburn student, whether it's internships, research, or study abroad. I personally am very invested in research. I do undergrad research, study abroad. I was going to Africa for a few weeks this summer and doing that. So that's an issue that's really near to me, not just sitting in the classroom and learning, but you can go out in the field and out and where you're going to be working eventually and learn more that way, kind of learn on the job. So I definitely would want to make it easier for students to get plugged into study abroad opportunities, internship opportunities, research opportunities, and then make it easy for them as well to get that credit. Because I think getting credit for all those experiences will encourage more students to get involved in those opportunities. And I think that's really, really important for a student's personal growth while here at Auburn University.
Thanks, Adam. Jesse, same question to you. You have a minute if you'd like to respond.
Yeah, I agree with these two. I think learning outside of the classroom, is where we do a lot of our real world learning, and a lot of the skills we learn there carry on a lot further than what we learn in the classroom, whether it's an internship, or whether it's study abroad, or whether it's research or anything of that nature. I think that's very important. I think the SGA president, we also have to look at the issues that we can directly impact now and meet on this campus. And so that's good stuff, and we can increase that a little bit. I think there's more pressing things to students than the cost of a study abroad trip.
Thank you, Jesse. The next question will go to Adam. You have a minute and a half to respond. In your platform, you discussed listening to student opinion. How would you gain feedback?
Definitely. So what really made me mad was last year, they put a dining referendum on the ballot, and people were so excited about getting to finally choose something that was going to happen here on campus. And I don't think that should be the case. It should be a once-in-a-while thing that gets people really excited when the administration listens to them. Instead of the administration telling us what's going to happen most of the time it should be the other way around. Us telling the administration, here's what we want to do, here's what we want to happen here at Auburn University. So I definitely love to expand the Auburn Answers program, make that more widespread, more marketing about that to individual students, but then also making SGA more accessible. Like I said through my concourse office hours, just letting people come to us, tell us what they want to see done, because SGA is the bridge between the individual student and the administrator. So like I said earlier, making us more accessible, letting people come to us so much easier, will create a better bridge to see the things that students want done, to let us do those through the administration.
Thanks, Adam. Jesse, same question to you. You have a minute if you would like to respond.
Absolutely. I think two very important things here: accessibility and transparency, so that students know what's going on, so they feel that their opinion is valued. Auburn Answers, like Adam said, is a program that was implemented 2 years ago. That program has grown so much. We almost had 1,000 submissions over this past year. It's really, really cool to see students getting that feedback. But I don't think we can always count on students coming to us. I think we, as a Student Government Association, have to go to students. And so as SGA president, I will go to students and also listen to that feedback. I will talk to them and learn with them, figure out what it is that they need from us so that we can properly serve them.
Thank you, Jesse. Drake, same question to you if you'd like to respond.
Yeah, so obviously we have this award-winning, I don't know if you all know, but it won Best Initiative in the SEC, award-winning program in Auburn Answers. So continual emphasis of that. But again, going off what Jesse said, making sure we make the effort to reach out to organizations. I'm the only one up here that through their role this past year actually went to the organizations that they directly affected. BSU, Black Student Union, isn't something that I started going to 2 weeks ago whenever campaign week was coming up. I've been going since September, just because that was where my role impacted. You know, I've been to Spectrum meetings whenever I was just going to get their feedback and all these different meetings. I sat down with the leaders of NESB last April to see where we could impact them the most and where they wanted help. So continuing that and expanding that to all the impacts, or all the student groups that SGA impacts on this campus.
Thanks, Drake. The next question will go to Jesse. You'll have a minute and a half to respond. What is your plan to limit TBAs for classes?
Absolutely. So this past year, I've had a really cool opportunity to work with a lot of people in academics, whether it be associate deans or department heads, or even provosts at the university. And so I'm going to use those relationships to show them, just like I've told all of you, how important it is for students to have this information before they register for classes. I was talking to Dr. Paul Patterson, who works in the College of Agriculture, I believe he's associate dean over there. The last school he was at, they got this information. It's readily accessible to them, and so it's just a matter of showing that the students support this. You know, when 27,000 students get behind something, it can happen, and they listen to that because they know that at the end of the day, they're here to serve us, just like we're here to serve all of you. So working with those department heads, having a well-thought-out proposal, and just showing how important that this truly is.
Thank you, Jesse. Drake, same question to you if you would like to respond in a minute.
Yeah, so actually 3 years ago, Harrison Mills stood on this stage and Clapper was talking about TBAs in his platform. And so obviously this isn't a new idea. This is something that affects all students, but it's incredibly hard if you're an administrator to figure out how you assign classes to professors, especially when professors are mobile. They move around, they don't teach the same classes every semester. So I firmly believe that administrators aren't just, sitting on their butts, just not putting up the professors just because they don't want to. They're doing this as soon as they have the information available. So I find it incredibly difficult for SGA to, further this process. This is something that has to come from the university president and university provost, really.
Thanks, Drake. Adam, same question to you if you'd like to respond. You have a minute.
Thank you, Walker. Well, I know we all hate TBAs. I hate signing up for a chem class and not knowing if it's going to be a great professor or the one that's going to make my life hell for 3 months. Like Drake said, in the past, credit to run this platform of limiting TBAs, getting professors' names out there beforehand, and Auburn came out and said that they're not willing to do away with TBAs. So I think it's a great idea. I think we can limit TBAs, find situations where those could be taken away. I don't think there's any way to get rid of those entirely, though, because like Drake said, if there's a lot of pressure on administrators, they may not even know where teachers are going to teach, what classes they're going to teach. So in some cases, they may know that and withhold that from students. And in those cases, I'm all for getting rid of TBAs. But I believe there's no way we'll ever be able to 100% get rid of those here at Auburn.
Thanks, Adam. The next question will go to Drake. We'll have a minute and a half to respond. This question is, how will you increase the scope of fine arts classes, and why do you think this is necessary?
Yeah, so just to give you a background on what that means. So currently, fine arts classes are pretty much limited to like appreciation of architecture, music appreciation, art appreciation, different things like that. Whereas there are student groups like AU singers and chorale and marching band that don't count for class credit. And this is, we found out through research on this, that this is actually a state law and in the state education code. And no one really knows why. So we've been trying to work with other institutions across the state, and we did the numbers on this, just counting how many students are part of these performance ensembles at the I think 13 state institutions. And this can have a multi-million-dollar impact on the state of Alabama's economy every year, and really reduce that burden of unnecessary classes that a lot of students are having to take, while also strengthening our fine arts programs.
Adam, you have a minute to respond to the same question if you would like to.
Well, I definitely agree with what Drake said. Like I said earlier, experiential learning is so important to every Auburn student. I've taken intro to theater class, but I can just imagine how much more I would have learned and how much more I would have experienced being like an actual drama group or a class where I actually participated in doing that sort of thing. So I think that's a great idea, not just sitting in a classroom for fine arts, but actually doing fine arts. Being able to join like AU singers or a chorus group or a drama group and being able to get credit for that. I think students would grow so much more and become more like Auburn men and women through those experiential learning scenarios. So I agree with that portion of Drake's platform 100%.
Thanks, Adam. Jesse, you have the same chance to respond if you would like. You have a minute.
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up as well with Drake, and I remember that was a conversation that was had last year. It's something that can happen. I can use my experience working with our external affairs team, working with our university lobbyists and our state legislators to make this a reality. Like Drake said, save students time, save students money, and make the educational experience of all a little bit better.
Thanks, Jesse. The next question will go to Adam. You'll have a minute and a half to respond. And that question is, in your platform, you talk about a greener campus. What action will be taken to create a greener campus, and what is the estimated cost of these efforts?
Absolutely. Well, we've done lots of things that really hurt the environment over the past few years. We paved over endangered snake habitat to build our new osteopathic building. We have buildings on campus that leave their lights on 24/7. We have that giant new video board in the stadium with people playing video games on it, and I don't want to know how much energy that uses. So just some things like that are some simple steps we can take to help the environment and not hurt it to make us a more sustainable campus. So just by researching before we do things, just being more aware and being more informed of how our actions as a university help the environment will make us a lot more sustainable and a lot more green and leave a better Auburn for future generations to come. As far as cost goes, we don't need to do costly things to help the environment. We didn't have to build that building. We could have built it somewhere else. It would have cost exactly the same. Turning off lights in buildings, that would save money. Not playing video games on the giant video board and saving electricity, that would save money. So I think by implementing some of those sustainable green ideas, it wouldn't be at any cost to the university, and the university might even save money by becoming more sustainable and just focusing more on how we're either hurting or helping our planet.
Thanks, Adam. Jesse, same question to you. You have a minute if you would like to respond.
Yeah, I agree. I think those things are important, whether it's recycling or saving energy, things of that nature. And I think as the Student Government Association, we need to take a step back and kind of say, is this something that all students support and all students want? And if it is, then we go fully after it and we do those things. When we tackle it, it's not we say, hey, let's reprioritize. Let's go back and see where this kind of falls in with everything else.
Thank you, Jesse. Drake, same question to you. You have a minute if you would like to respond.
Well, Auburn is actually the only green certified university in the state, and a lot of the points that Adam was making are valid, but you also have to consider the whole certification year in Houston, and a lot of the nitty-gritty details just aren't known. And when it goes into power contracts and different liabilities that the university has to meet, there are a lot of things that we just don't know. And of course, we want to be as sustainable as possible, but you have to be considerate of that. And so, I think we can always make an effort to be more green, but that, I think, is something that is more reserved for the Office of Sustainability on campus, though SGA should be behind them 100%.
Thank you, Drake. The next question will go to Jesse. You'll have a minute and a half to respond. That question is, in your platform, you discuss a full-scale dining evaluation and update. How do you plan to achieve this, and what do you foresee the appropriate updates to be?
Absolutely. So right now I've got a great working relationship with Lynn Walker. She's our director of campus dining. We actually spoke about this last semester. We started to do it. It's kind of in the works right now. It's going to be a committee that looks at dining as a whole, so whether it's your experience at Starbucks or Chick-fil-A, you told me line, your experience throughout all of campus. I think we take a look at that. And one thing very specific to it, the time card money. There's a lot of students right now, say you're in a major that's off campus, there's no reason that you should have to pay a $300 or $900 dining plan when you're never going to go on campus to use that. So looking at these things and saying, how can we improve the student dining experience as a whole? Because at the end of the day, it's something that really, in one way or another, affects all of us.
Thank you, Jesse. Drake, same question to you. You have a minute if you would like to respond.
Yeah, I mean, how can you be against evaluating campus dining and improving it? That's not really something that you can rebut against. But I think what's also important is that we look at, again, Tiger Card money and kind of this monopoly that happens because these locations are on campus and because students are required to buy into this meal plan, prices on campus are so much higher. I think a Kind Bar goes for like $3 downstairs in the C-store when it's $1.25 at Kroger. So really looking at the economics of it all and making sure that students already have to pay so much to go to college that we're not nickel and diming them every chance that we get on campus.
Thank you, Drake. Adam, same question to you if you'd like to respond.
Well, like Greg said, I can't really rebut that. I do think we need to look really close at dining options here on campus Like take for example, why is the Chick-fil-A line at lunch 1,000 people long? Then you go to like the chicken and tender place in Pooley, there's 3 people in line. So let's take a good look at dining options, what we have available on campus, where students eat, where they don't eat, what options students would like better on campus, and then like Greg said, definitely look at prices on items. Make sure students aren't getting ripped off because we are forced to buy those dining plans, $1,000 on campus, $300 off, and prices on on-campus locations, C-stores, and restaurants are definitely a lot higher than they would be off campus. Just kind of revisiting students either having to buy those dining dollars or else reworking the pricing system at places on campus, I think is really, really important.
Thanks, Adam. That concludes our question and answer debate portion. We'll now move into closing remarks. Beginning first with Greg, you'll have a minute to share your closing remarks from there.
Yeah, so tonight we heard more about our platforms and ideas, about our characters and our visions. And now a couple of requests for each of you in the audience. If you want a goofy and kind-hearted man who's in a fraternity, I want you to vote for Jesse Westerhouse tomorrow. If you want a self-proclaimed maverick who will bring an outsider perspective into SGA, I want you to vote for Adam Brasher. But if you want someone who will wake up every day working harder than the last, who truly wants to make an impact in every area of campus life, who honestly, like, this is what I want to do with my life, is working in higher education administration, this is my passion, and I hope that you heard that tonight, then I want you to vote for me tomorrow, and I really hope that you will show me what your Auburn is, and that we'll see how we can make your Auburn better over the next year. Thank you so much, and War Eagle.
Thanks, Greg. We'll now move to Adam, who will have a minute to share your closing remarks when you're ready.
Well guys, you've heard our platforms, you know what we're running on, you know what each of us believe, and at this point there's nothing else I can say to convince you to vote for me if you're not going to already vote for me. But the one really important thing I want to say about tomorrow is vote. No matter who you vote for, whether it's me or Jesse or Drake, vote. Look at each of us, look what we're standing on, look at our ideals, and choose the person you think would best represent you as your SGA president. Both these guys are great Auburn men. I believe in them. I believe in the things they're saying. I think both of them would be wonderful SGA presidents. But it's up to each of you to look at us, see what we believe, and then make your choice. Get out and vote tomorrow for the person you think would represent you best.
Thank you, Adam. Jesse, you have a minute as well to share your closing remarks when you're ready.
Absolutely. There's 2 things that really make me think, feel that I'm the best candidate for SGA president. One, my experience in multiple leadership roles across this campus, including the SGA, in an executive officer position, working with campus administrators, leading teams, and doing that whole realm of things. That experience is going to carry over in that transition period and make it a successful year from the get-go. The second thing is about passion. My passion to serve each and every single one of you, like I said at the beginning. My passion to give back to Auburn, and above all else, my passion to serve the Lord and glorify Him in everything that I do. So that's all I've got. I know I appreciate these guys, they're great ideas, and I hope you all enjoyed hearing that.
Thank you, Jesse. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our debate for tonight. Let's